Okay, this being the time and place for the rescheduled October 23 Plan Commission, I'd like to call us to order. Please call the roll.
Lawrence,
Here.
Borden,
Here.
Tate,
Here.
Wade,
Here.
Wynn,
Here.
Temple, Burrows, Pike,
Here.
Pepper.
Okay, we do have a quorum. Are there any corrections or additions to the minutes from the September meeting? Okay, if not, do we have a motion and a second to accept those?
Motion for approval. Second.
A motion by Mr. Pike, second by Mr. Borden. All in favor state aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Those minutes are approved. Okay, I'd like to take a moment to introduce the Planning Commission members and give a brief description of how this meeting is conducted. The commission has 9 members. 8 of us are volunteers appointed by the mayor for a 6-year term. We also have 1 member from the city council. My name is Kent Lawrence. Our vice chair is Gary Borden. Our secretary is Larry Way. Other members are Ms. Frances Tate, Mr. Eddie Pike, and Mr. Joseph Wynn. Forrest Temple is not with us today, or Myrna Burrows or Councilman Pepper. Members of the public seeking to get an item considered by the Planning Commission must send an application to the Planning Department not less than 21 days prior to this meeting. Unless otherwise specified, all applications for development approvals are the result of submittals by a private citizen seeking some change to their own property. In making our decision, a primary tool used by the Planning Commission is the One Decatur Comprehensive Plan. This plan was adopted through a public process to formalize a vision for the future of the community that represents the interest and will of all Decatur residents. In many of these cases, the Planning Commission does not have the final say. Zonings, annexation, vacation, sidewalk cafe license, and some resolutions all require additional approval by the city council before they become official. In those cases, the role of the Planning Commission is to advise the council. In the first part of today's meeting is a public hearing. Each item will be read separately and voted on after comments and discussion. If you wish to comment on an item, we ask that you come forward to the microphone, state your name and address, then make your comments. We ask that you keep your comments to 3 minutes or less, please. Today's public hearing, we have these type requests, and we have some preliminary plats. This is the second step of the subdivision process, and we'll have construction plans included. Mr. Chris, if you'd read the first case for us, please.
Item A is preliminary plat Glenmont Acres Phase 3. This is 5.82 acres. The current zone is R6. Applicant is Pew Wright McAnally for Huntsville LLD LLC. The location is south of Glenmont Phase 1 Hudson Court. Request is to subdivide 5.82 acres into 34 residential lots. Proposed land use is residential. One Decatur future land use is mixed neighborhood, and Hudson Court is a local street. The next items are your comments and recommendations from the TRC. Please add the total acreage to be subdivided. Please add a temporary turnaround, and please show separation from lots 21 through 31. The zoning ordinance only allows 8 contiguous units. A point of information, you're going to hear this on all of them. This was at Decatur Utilities request. Any relocation of utilities will be at the owner's expense, and any relocation needs to occur prior to construction or before construction.
Is there anyone from the public that would wish to comment on this request? If not, do we have a motion to approve?
Motion to approve. Second.
A motion by Mr. Borden, second by Mrs. Tate. Do we have any questions or comments from anyone on the commission? Please call the roll.
Lawrence,
Yes.
Borden,
Yes.
Tate,
Yes.
Wade,
Yes.
Wynn,
Yes.
Pike.
Yes.
Okay, this preliminary plat is approved 6-0. All right.
Item B on the agenda is another preliminary plat. This is Glenmont Acres Phase 4. 8.67 acres, current zone is R6. The applicant is Pew Wright McAnally for Huntsville Land Development LLC. The location is east of Central Avenue. The request is to subdivide 8.67 acres into 97 residential lots. Proposed land use is residential. One Decatur future land use is mixed neighborhood, and Central Avenue is a minor arterial. The TRC comments and recommendations are, please add the total acreage to be subdivided. Please add temporary turnaround, and the point of information again is any relocation of utilities will be at the owner's expense, and any relocation needs to occur prior to construction.
Is there anyone from the public wish to speak to this request? If not, do we have a motion to approve?
Motion for approval?
Second.
Okay. Motion by Mr. Pike, second by Mr. Way. Any comments or questions from the commission? Please call the roll.
Lawrence,
Yes.
Gordon,
Yes.
Tate,
Yes.
Wade,
Yes.
Wynn,
Yes.
Pike.
Yes.
Okay, this preliminary plat is approved 6-0.
Item C on the agenda is preliminary plat Glenmont Acres Phase 5. This is 12.04 acres. Current zone is R6. The applicant is P. Wright McAnally for Huntsville Land Development LLC. Location and/or property address east of Central Avenue. This is to subdivide 12.04 acres into 120 residential lots. Proposed land use is residential. One Decatur future land use is mixed neighborhood. One Decatur street typology. Central Avenue is a minor arterial. The TRC comments and recommendations, please add the total acreage to be subdivided. Please add temporary turnaround. And a point of information, any relocation of utilities will be at the owner's expense, and any relocation needs to occur prior to construction.
Does anyone wish to speak to this request? Do we have a motion and a second to approve?
Motion to approve? Second.
Motion by Mr. Borden, second by Mr. Pike. Any comments or questions from the commission? Please call the roll.
Lawrence,
Yes.
Gordon,
Yes.
Tate,
Yes.
Wade,
Yes.
Wynn,
Yes.
Pike.
Yes.
Okay, this preliminary plat is approved 6-0. Okay,
Item D is a final preliminary plat. This is River Oaks Phase 1. Acres is 9.2. Current zone is R3. The applicant is P. Wright McAnally for Mond Family Limited. Location is Dulcich Street and 14th Avenue. The request is to subdivide 9.2 acres into 36 residential parcels. Proposed land use is residential. One Decatur future land use is mixed neighborhood, and Central Avenue is a minor arterial. TRC comments and recommendations, please update the preliminary plat date. Please add site data and total acreage to be subdivided. Please add temporary turnaround. Please add 7.5-foot easement on the north side of lot 36. And then the point of information is, again, any relocation of utilities will be at the owner's expense, and any relocation needs to occur prior to construction.
okay. Before I call for public comment on this, from our pre-meeting, Mrs. Tate brought up the point that she felt like that this should have access to 14th with the first phase. I talked with the engineering firm to see if they would be inclined to provide that. So I'll ask that question now.
Yeah, so Nathan Tomberlin, P. Wright McAnally, 310 8th Avenue. So the developer is planning to submit the remaining phases next month for engineering and utility approval. The only reason we're not submitting all of it right now is because we had this ready and it was approved and ready to go, but it just expired. Now, if in order to get the connection to 14th Street is, I guess, contingent on getting this approved, you know, we would ask, is that something that could be tied to the final plat before, you know, they could issue a final plat? But we are submitting the plans next week for preliminary approval for the remaining portion of the lots. So,
Okay, make sure that you understand, I understand what you're saying. You're saying that the developer asked that we go ahead and approve this, but put a plat note that they're gonna have access to 14th before we approve the final plat for this preliminary.
That's correct. I mean, they have no issue building that road. They're gonna build the road in the next phase
Okay.
anyway, so.
So Ms. Tate, do you understand what he's saying? He's saying that before we approve the final plat for this phase, they would agree to put that road in. And that would be a plat note that they would put that road in.
Right, so we wouldn't be able to final the plat until the road's installed.
Which I think is a great,
I think it's a great idea.
yeah, okay,
So we can flow off 14.
Yes, ma'am.
okay,
Because you know Dolph is terrible.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay,
yeah. I think that's a great solution.
okay.
We appreciate that.
Thank you.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, open it, see if anyone from the public would like to comment on this.
Oh, and I'm Billy Jackson. I'm 1203 2nd Street Southwest, Decatur, Alabama. I represent District 1. I represent this area of our city on the city council. When we started this process, we started with there was a lot of concern from the community. And some on the planning commission are aware of the concern that was coming from the community. The two primary concerns were actually this exactly, and the R4 zoning that was on the north portion of this plat, or this piece of property. When we talked about access to the development, the people were concerned, people of the community, and one of them sitting here today, and Cookie Pettis, who can't be here today because she had to work, and Frida, what's Frida's last name, Troy? Davis. Were some of the initial ones who contacted me. This comes right beside Mrs. Davis' house, and she's concerned about this. So when we talk about the fact that we'll approve this, and then next month we'll come back, or next week we'll come back and we'll approve something that connects to 14th Avenue, that really doesn't satisfy what the concern is here. We have a lot of traffic on Douthit Street. There's on-street parking there. There are cars on both sides of the street. And when I went through there, have any of you been down Douthit Street lately? Yes. Okay. If you've been down Douthit Street lately, you know that there are cars parked on both sides of the street. It can be fairly congested as far as traffic goes. When I went down through there, when I went through Douthit Street today, I had to kind of pull over, let a car come down the street, and then I went around the car. When I came out onto 14th Street, I went all the way down 14th Street, and there was no traffic whatsoever. And I spoke with Bain Hughes earlier, and he talked about this subdivision and the development that we have. And the community has accepted this, and I think it's a great thing for our community. But we do have to understand that we are making a congested area with Douthit Street even more congested if we allow this. And I think that there's an opportunity for us to deal with this development and have the ingress and egress come off of 14th Avenue and not off of Douthit Street. I think we're compounding a problem that we already have if we approve this today. So I would ask that the Planning Commission consider this and consider the fact that we are in a position where people who, like Mr. Goldston, who live on Douthit Street already have a problem backing out of their driveways because of the traffic that goes through there. There's been discussion several times about road hunts because people go up and down Douthit Street so often, the speeding that goes on there. So we're gonna make, if the Planning Commission allows this, we're gonna make a bad situation worse. So I would ask that the Planning Commission consider doing both ingress and egress, or however we wanna do it, off of 14th Avenue where there's very little traffic at this particular time. So I'm just gonna ask that you consider that. It won't come back before the council, so we won't have a word in this.
And Mr. Jackson, let's make sure you understand. So you're saying you would rather us take this one that goes to Douthit out?
Completely.
Yeah, because you do know there is 1 to 14. And that's what we're requiring, is that they put that 1 to 14th in at the same time they finalize these. But you're asking that let's not have 1 to Douthit at all.
That's what the neighbors off of Douthit and Terry Holt are asking for, is that we not have one coming onto Douthit at all. We've already got problems there.
Okay.
And we don't want to compound those problems by adding more traffic to Douthit. And as you say, you've been down there, you see the parking on the street, you see the amount of traffic that comes there, especially on the weekend, later in the evening. There's a lot of traffic that goes up and down there. People are using Douthit as a cut-through from the Bedford, Root and Canterbury area to get back out to 14th. So there's a lot of traffic there. I don't know if we've done a traffic count there or not. There's a lot of traffic on Douthit Street, and there's just minimal traffic on 14th. It's suited to handle this situation. So yes, I would like to see us, and when we talked before, and I really thought that we had this resolved, to be quite frank with you. We had talked with Planning Department earlier before this. You met with us out at Bell Primitive Baptist and Page Bibby because it was the last council.
Right.
We met at Bell Primitive Baptist to address the zoning aspect of it.
Right.
And the neighborhood was satisfied with that.
Yeah.
And I really thought that prior to that, otherwise we would have discussed this at that point, I thought we had this particular situation resolved because we had talked with the planning department and we just thought that everything was gonna come in and out off of 14th Avenue. So that's kind of where we are. So this community and I ask that we not run this into Douthit Street.
And obviously, I misunderstood that, because I thought they wanted egress, egress on 14th as well, not off of Douthit.
No, solely.
Mr. Tom, would there be a problem if we just didn't put the Douthit?
Well, I do know at some point in time, there was planning to build a road in those areas along Douthit because there's platted right-of-way right there.
Right.
Now, the only concern that I think the city would have would be if there's only one egress off of 14th, that's the only way you get in and out of that subdivision, which typically raises concern with emergency type vehicles.
So you're saying if there's only one ingress, but I'm not saying we should only have one.
Yeah,
We can have multiple off of 14th.
yeah.
We can really have multiple off 14th and eliminate this one. But I do know that regardless of, if we have 10 off of 14th, and we have this one on Douthit, it's going to even complicate a situation that we're already having problems with. So that's position. Anything else?
And we have another one on the other end to Douthit.
Yeah. That's.
So what about that one? Let's address that one now, which is not in this phase, but a future phase does have another one going on to Douthit.
When we initially talked about this, and I did meet with Mr. Plonk earlier on, before we met with Bell Primitive Baptist. When we initially talked about this, my understanding was that we were gonna have entrances off of 14th, that we would not have them off of 14th. I mean, off of Douthit,
Off of
excuse me. And so now we're at this point, and we're kind of down the road with it, but I would think that the community would be very grateful if we did not put more traffic onto Douthit. I can't tell you how much they would appreciate that, because again, we've already got traffic situations going on Douthit. So much so that they've asked for speed humps on that street.
And I think the reason they were put there, because they're originally easements there,
Yeah.
right?
They're platted right-of-ways.
Yeah, private ladder rights of way.
But you know, when those were initially put in, I'm sure that the traffic situation was not nearly what it is in Douthit right now. And the neighborhood had not developed nearly to the extent that it has developed to now, early before Canterbury and those areas. So I think that, because the neighborhood has transformed, has grown, it's just like any other neighborhood. We've gotten traffic there that we didn't necessarily anticipate when those things were done, and so now we're looking at a different situation.
But it would require two on the 14th. So I guess I'll ask for y'all's, master, yeah, we don't see it up there.
Those platted right-of-ways, what happens to that right-of-way? Can you build on it?
Well, the city can vacate the right of way back to the adjacent property owners.
Well,
It wouldn't go back to the development, it would go back to the adjacent property owners, which are houses on either side of it on Douthit.
I got it.
So it wouldn't go back to this developer.
Got it.
But it would allow him, but of course he'd have to re-engineer the whole thing to slide his lots down to make it back up. I'm correct in that, right?
We would have to redesign this.
Yeah.
How many lots in the total development? About,
The final count was around 125. Okay.
and this outlet to Douthit and 14th is the only street frontage?
There are 3 locations, 2 along Douthit, which tie into those existing rights of way, and then 1 along 14th.
Yeah, there you
Y'all can see this, it's got the whole.
go. There you go.
I think that we all who have been there would know that the 14th Street access would be the least intrusive to the neighborhood.
It
So
is.
I would think that I would hope that we could all see that.
Thank you, Mr. Jackson.
Okay.
So I guess I'm gonna ask for your opinion on this. As far as, do you feel like you can accommodate this, or is this something that the developer wouldn't want to address? Would they rather go ahead with what you presented today? I'm sort of putting you on the spot at the last minute, I know.
It's kind of late to be redesigning it.
Right.
We've had a layout plan approved, but.
Right.
Um,
And I understand all that. And that's where like I told Mr. Jackson, I was confused because we did have it like this on the original one.
Blake McAnally, P. Wright McAnally, 310 8th Avenue Northeast. So looking at this layout, I see two issues. You know, this adjacency to 14th, where Douthit on the east side of it dead ends into 14th. You know, in my view, the primary amount of traffic is gonna travel up 14th and would come in here and go right there.
Yeah.
Now, if we took this one out and did not create this, then there's really no reason for anybody going to this subdivision to travel down Douthit. But what we may end up with is a cul-de-sac that exceeds the length or a lot that is allowed by the subdivision regs.
Right.
So you'd have to give us consideration on that. You know, we can make this one, you know, you know, when this is vacated, we're not gonna pick up another lot here.
Right.
We do a cul-de-sac here, we may get a lot here. We have to work on the redesign of it. The adjacency from this point to this intersection and that intersection is a good spacing from a traffic perspective. To add another one here, you know, we just have to work with city engineering to see if we could move this one up a little bit and then possibly add another one here.
Yeah.
And that's essentially, we give two off of 14th and then one that just goes one block and then into the subdivision on Douthit, if we close this and did a cul-de-sac here.
That sounds like that will work, Blake.
I'm sorry?
Does that sound like it will work, wouldn't it?
Well,
I mean,
think
this way he'll add another lot on the other end down
it
there.
would keep cars off of 90% of Douthit.
It would. Now, if there is gonna be some traffic that would come from 8th Street and go this way, I mean, naturally, people are just gonna take that shortcut. So that's gonna create some, this would be the least intrusive way of doing it. If we remove the one off of Terre Haute, I think that would probably be the least intrusive way of doing it. And I don't think that we get nearly the complaints off this if we close the one near Terre Haute. I think that, what about that, Joy?
So-
With that?
So with that, we can move forward with what they have presented today, and what we've already agreed to is that they're gonna put that 14th egress with this phase one. It would be tied to phase one. And then when they complete other phases, they would take out the other entrance to Douthit and add a cul-de-sac. But we're also saying that we're gonna allow them to have the extra long cul-de-sac.
And I will say this, and I understand this is a unique, maybe situation, but we also have to, I've run into this a lot, no neighborhood wants tied to it.
Right.
When you know, and I think from a planning standpoint, we just have to be careful with, and I get this is a unique situation, but, you know, then we're gonna have another one next month that isn't gonna be happy about being tied to. And I just don't know how we kind of balance that. And I understand this is a unique situation, but keep in mind, you're setting a precedent here too that we've gotta be careful with.
Well,
Because
you're
of
really
the-
not setting a preference. We have to take each one.
Right.
Each one is different, so we have to
Yeah.
make decision based on that particular subdivision.
Yeah, I mean, it's totally up to y'all. I'm just.
Now, I see all points. I guess I'm gonna go back to the engineers and ask them what they feel like. You've heard it all. Is that your best proposal to sort of compromise with everybody involved?
David,
But if he'll
Is
add,
this,
he'll gain a lot on the end.
this is regular. So the reason, the question I'm asking Nathan, this, Tommy, could you go back to the one drawing that actually shows the waterway through there? There you go. So this is floodway, and it is, also highly likely a regulated stream, regulated by the Corps of Engineers. So we would have, the developer is gonna have to apply for a permit to go, to cross that, to either build a road across it or put a bridge across it to gain access to the balance of this property. You do have an access up here, it's already got, of course, they've gotta get across this, so we're gonna be crossing it theoretically two places there and somewhere from this subdivision to get, because we don't have any more right-of-way frontage anywhere else on the property. So we're going to come to a point where we will have to have, we'll have to have two access points to this. I mean, from a liability perspective for the city and us as the designers and the developer, we're gonna have to have two access points to that future. So it's really difficult to solve that problem today. You know, I don't know how we move forward other than to say that, we will, we're not asking for this right now.
Right.
We're only asking for this. So this next phase, I presume Nathan has designed already, almost.
Yeah, we have the layout, I mean, it wouldn't be a big deal to make some tweaks if we wanted to just put a cul-de-sac in there and not make that connection.
Yeah, and we might even want to look at, rather than a cul-de-sac, just turn this up here and dead end it in the next plat, because that may be a logical place to cross. Seems to be more narrow here. It's just, that's obviously something we've got to give some design consideration to. But if we,
I would say to that, of course, we're gonna require a temporary turnaround if you do that too.
right, temporary turnaround has to be done prior to the final plat.
Yeah.
And if we get the second phase, the folks that will build homes in here, they may likely just start one and go straight into the next one. And if that's the case, I mean, we may get to a point where we're actually building the road rather than the turnaround
Yeah,
before this is platted.
right,
That's a possibility.
yeah.
But understand your situation, and it's not an issue to put a temporary turnaround in there. And
Okay.
it would be in the plans as it's a condition of approval.
Okay. So to summarize, you're asking that we go ahead and approve what's submitted before us today with the agreement that you would provide the egress, ingress off of 14th with final plat of this. And then in the next phase, we would remove the second entrance to Duffet and do something there, either a cul-de-sac or dead end it to go across the creek.
I'd say the western connection.
Sounds like a pretty good compromise to me.
But didn't we still say that's longer than we can allow?
No, we can allow it. Yeah, especially if it's a turn, because then it's not a cul-de-sac. It's just a street hub. But correct me if we can allow that additional. Yeah, it's up to us to do that, yeah.
You're gonna have a master plan that shows the layout.
Right.
They're gonna progress through the master plan.
Right,
So you know, normally, when you bring a master plan that shows this going across and it's not a cul-de-sac, when we do a temporary, that's just the next phase.
Phase, yeah.
And the road obviously gets connected as the phases continue.
right.
And in the end, there'll be one street out on 14th and one on Doubtful? Or when it goes on north, there'll be another one on 14th?
It's gonna be this one that will come out the 14th.
Okay.
And then the one in the plan that's about here, so there's at least gonna be two connections.
Yeah.
To 14th. Whether we can squeeze another in, you know, here,
Yeah, but the one up there though, the one up there won't connect to this side. It doesn't on this layout.
yeah, back up to the master plan, please, Tommy.
That's just serving those few lots.
So it doesn't
Yeah.
connect right now, but this is a master plan.
So we could, you would change it is what you're saying.
You know, we would need to be back some 50 to 75 feet to be able to get some stacking distance for left turns in here, to not block 14th, the intersection of 14th. But that's certainly something we could do. I mean, this, we might get in there. Sometimes when we do stuff like this, we actually can frankly get an extra lot in,
Okay,
because we've got pie-shaped lots there now.
okay. But changing to this layout, I'll go back and recap. We're gonna take out one entrance to Dalphit, and we're gonna connect it to 14th on that one at the furthest west end, and then in the back end as well. On either end of the creek and the property.
I would say that there are currently 2 dedicated right-of-ways from Dalphit to this property. We're gonna connect to the east, and then we're gonna redesign this to not connect to the west. I would make a recommendation to the city that if you move that direction, that you need to pursue vacation of this dedicated right-of-way at some point to take it away. And then in our next phase, we'll show either a cul-de-sac or a road that would, in the future, go north
Okay.
with a turnaround.
Okay.
Yes.
Just if, whatever y'all are gonna vote on this, it needs to be in the conditions and it needs to be very clearly spelled out so that everyone's on the same page before it's voted on. If you're voting to approve it, and if you're voting not to approve it, then you need to be very specific as to why and what reasons for that. I just wanna make sure that everything's put down so that we know exactly what's coming next and what has to be done before it can move on to the next phase.
Okay, do you have a good understanding of what we just said? Can we skip the vote on this? You write that for us and then we vote on this at the end? Am I asking too much?
I'm not sure if I have a good grasp on the engineering side of it to put in the conditions. I think we can probably work it out between planning and myself.
Okay.
And then with engineering to write it up for the conditions, because I'm just not technically proficient in the planning side of it.
Okay.
But yes, we can try to do that and put it in the end.
I would state that we understand what you're asking us to do. And if you can give us some approval today, we will work with legal and planning to get that condition formalized, so it's issued in your minutes accordingly.
You good with that?
Wouldn't we just, the
I think-
condition be
I was
that,
just gonna say, if y'all wanna set up
Yeah.
a condition, we can discuss it, and then we can put it down so that we all understand. I just wanna make sure we're all on the same page, because while
Yeah.
we're all in the same room,
Right.
but
I
wouldn't
just
the
don't
con-
Well,
want
I think the conditions are that they remove the
west
west
Dalphit
Dalphit,
entrance,
not right away,
entrance,
connection.
and add a second alternative entrance off of 14th.
Well, not in this plat.
Not in this
Okay.
plan.
That's a future plat. So
Okay,
I don't
gotcha.
think that-
You don't wanna add
The
that.
only condition is, as you stated, remove the west connection to Dalphit. That's all you gotta do.
Connection to Dalphit,
I mean, and frankly, that's a future plat too.
Yeah, it's not even in this section.
Right.
Yeah.
okay. I'm only coming up here because I know they like me to talk into this, but, so we're putting as a condition, remove the west Dalphit connection. Are we also gonna put in there the plat notes? Cause I know there was a mention about plat notes.
Yeah, we want the
Are we
plat
gonna put
notes with the 14th connection with this phase.
But we don't need the west taken out because it's not a part of this.
Well, it's an agreement to this. It's an agreement. It's not part of it, but it's something we're agreeing to approve this if they do that. And I think that's why Ruth is wanting to put that in there. That makes sense?
Yes.
I just wanna be sure that we have everything exactly as you all want it, and that everyone's here right now. This is the time to draft it, even if it takes a while, because I don't want it to be said later that something got missed because I didn't understand the technical side of it, because I'm not an engineer or a planner, but I can rewrite what everyone wants in it.
Well, let me take a shot at this. I think what we're saying, we're gonna approve this preliminary phase with the condition that in the next phase, the second connection, or the west connection to Dalphit will be removed, and the connection to 14th will be developed with these lots. Those are the two things that we want today.
One small correction.
Okay.
The connection to 14th will be completed prior to the platting of this phase.
Yes. Final plating of this phase.
Yes, because the 14th connection is not a part of this subdivision.
Right.
So it'll be before the final plat of this phase, it'll be made.
Yeah. Does that make sense to you? Okay. All right, anyone else wish to speak to this? Okay, do we have a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
Second.
A motion by Mr.
With the condition.
With the condition. Motion by Mr. Wynn, second by Mrs. Tate. Any other comments or questions from anyone on the commission? Please call the roll.
Lawrence,
Yes.
Gordon.
Yes.
Tate.
Yes.
Wade,
Yes.
Wynn,
Yes.
Pike.
Yes.
Okay, this is approved 6-0, and I thank y'all for working with us on that. Okay, that was the last, application in the public hearing. Now we move to our consent agenda, and this is the part of the agenda that the Plan Commission has final decision on. It does not require a public hearing. These items are read together and voted on as a group. Today we have these type requests. We have site plans. These are proposed developments on a collector street or above. Plans show building placement, parking, circulation, and landscaping. And certificates to subdivide or consolidate. This is a one-step process to subdivide or consolidate not more than 3 lots. A survey is required. Okay?
Item A, site plan 666-23. This is 4.35 acres, current zone's M1 light industry. The applicant is Purite McAnally for Chris Armour. Location of the property is at 1601 Milligan Street Southwest. Request is to approve the site plan. Proposed land use is light industry. The Windicator future land use is neighborhood commercial, and Milligan Street is a local street. The TRC comments and recommendations are: please add internal circulation arrows to the site plan. Please provide a perimeter landscaping or a buffer to the east. Please show the dumpster location. And then there was a comment from engineering that please add curb and gutter on that side of the street. Point of information: any relocation of utilities will be at the owner's expense, and any relocation needs to occur prior to construction, and water main will need to be extended to the property. Under certificate, item A is certificate 3609-23. This is 2.89 acres. The current zone's R2. The applicant is Lee Green and Associates for Austinville United Methodist Church. The location is north corner of Spring Avenue and Lamar Street. Request is to subdivide 1 lot into 2. Proposed land use is institutional. The Windicator future land use is core neighborhood. Windicator street topology, Spring Avenue is a minor arterial, and Lamar is a local street. No conditions to be met. The point of information, again, is any relocation of utilities will be at the owner's expense, and any relocation needs to occur prior to construction. Item B is certificate 3610-23. This is 0.64 acres. The current zone is R2. The applicant, again, is Lee Green and Associates for Jim Morrill. The location is at 2007 Spring Avenue Southwest. The request is to subdivide 1 lot into 2 lots. The proposed land use is residential. Windicator future land use is core neighborhood. Windicator street topology, Spring Avenue is a minor arterial. There were no conditions from TRC. The point of information, again, any relocation of utilities will be at the owner's expense, and any relocation needs to occur prior to construction.
Is there anyone that would wish to speak to any of these requests? Do we have a motion to approve?
Motion for approval?
Second.
A motion by Mr. Pike, second by Mrs. Tate. Any comments or questions? Please call the roll.
Lawrence,
Yes.
Gordon.
Yes.
Tate,
Yes.
Wade,
Yes.
Wynn,
Yes.
Pike.
Yes.
And these are all approved 6-0. Next is other business. What we have today is a bond review. This is a review a bond to see if it can be adjusted to a lower amount based on work completed, or to review if any expiring bond will be extended or not. Once it's determined all requirements are met, a bond will be released and the file will be closed. And we also have a resolution. This is a ratification of approval of the urban renewal project. Okay.
The bond review is for Old River Manor Phase 2. This is approximately 4.6 acres. Current zones are 3, single-family residential. Future land use is mixed neighborhood. The street topology, Lisa Lane, is a local street. One of the conditions on this, this is the replacement bond change rider must be updated on bond number L259-108-2142 to reflect coverage for both Old River Manor Phase 2 and Old River Manor Phase 2A. And the new bond amount is $46,266. It was roughly a $30,000 reduction.
Okay, and I'll ask engineering, is the $46,266 sufficient funds? Okay. Any questions? Do we have a motion to approve?
Motion.
Motion by Mr. Way, second by Mrs. Tate. All in favor? Sorry, call the roll.
Lawrence,
Yes.
Gordon.
Yes.
Tate.
Yes.
Wade,
Yes.
Wynn,
Yes.
Yes.
Hyde.
This bond review is approved 6-0.
Resolution 016-23, this is a request for Planning Commission to approve a resolution to ratify and approve the amendment to conditions protective covenants as to urban renewal project, number Alabama R-74, 2nd Avenue Civic Center, recorded at book 1226, page 340 to 351 in the probate office. This was to do with transferring the land, the title over, and to reconfirm the covenants.
Is there anyone from the public that would like to make comment to this request? Not, do we have a motion to approve?
Motion for approval.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Borden, second by Mr. Wade. Any questions or comments? Please call the roll.
Lawrence.
Yes.
Gordon.
Yes.
Tate.
Yes.
Wade,
Yes.
Wynn,
Yes.
Hyde.
Yes.
That is approved 6-0. That's all the business we have. We are adjourned. Thank you all.
One more day.
One more day.